Yesterday, I don't know if you know this.
Yes.
Your Portland Trailblazers were playing a matinee game. 3 o'clock tip? Is that what time the game started? 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
It was. Afternoon game. I had a brother-in-law and my nephew were sitting in the second row. They got great company seats.
Ooh.
And then my other brother-in-law got free tickets, so he took his son, his son's friend, and his son's girlfriend.
There you
They
go.
had good 100-level seats.
Yeah, Sports Sunday host Rashad Taylor, took me to the Blazers game yesterday.
So we had Sports Sunday at the Blazer game.
We did.
In the flesh yesterday?
No, Sports Sunday was representing, and then I was there a week ago. I have attended 3 Blazers games in
Look
the
at
last
Schultze. He's
month.
got Blazer fever right now.
Well, I needed to go and assess how the stadium actually is after our argument about it not being that great. And, so
I am eyeing.
He's caught the Soto
potentially
mojo.
Looking at a game now that the basketball season for me personally is over, looking at the schedule and saying, what's the crappy game that I'm willing to spend some money on to sit very, very close?
Well, their next game, I believe, is against the Washington. Oh, they got Chicago. Then the Wizards after that. So there's a couple of duds that are right around the corner if you're looking for cheaper tickets.
Oh, no, you're right. They got Wizards, then Grizzlies,
Then Grizzlies.
Denver, Boston, Cleveland.
Okay, so 3 of the 5 are tough. 2 of the games are winnable.
You trying to copy me and grab the courtside seats for cheap?
Yeah, but I don't know
It's
if
fun.
there's any of them are going to exist. If you had to go watch Memphis, Denver, Boston, or Cleveland in person, who would you pick?
I mean, Cleveland, obviously, but that's going to be a stupid
Why is that
ticket.
obvious?
Because
I think
they're
I'd
the
go
best team
Denver.
in the East. So.
Yeah, I'd go Denver. I want to say I don't know if I've ever seen Jokic play live.
You never went to the playoff games?
I don't think I did. I went to the conference
man.
finals games. I don't think
So
I went
good.
to any of the second round games. But I did go to the conference finals. But yesterday they played the Raptors. Love a good afternoon game. Big fan of that. Early gets done. I can go to bed at a reasonable hour. And they trailed essentially the entire game. They got off to a horrible start. They're down throughout.
22-6. It was such a
Just
bad
like,
start.
oh, this is ugly out of the gate. And they were down by as many as 10 points in the fourth quarter, with 5-6-ish minutes to go. And for those who were paying attention at home, they realized this.
Yes.
Jakob Poeltl
Yeah.
of Toronto Raptor fame was having himself a nice little game. He had 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Raptors were up by 6 with about 5 minutes to go in the game.
They had a 93.1% chance to win the game at that point, according to the ESPN Gamecast.
And how many of the final 522 did Jakob Poeltl play?
None, because
None.
once he went out, they were outscored 16-7, and the Blazers won by just 3, outscoring them 16-7.
They subbed in Orlando Robinson, who, as Sean Hyken pointed out, was a minus 27 on the game, and it was his shot who was blocked as time expired.
By Matisse.
By
Welcome
Matisse.
back, Matisse.
They also decided to let 10 seconds run off the clock before fouling Denny with 5 seconds to go, and so it turned into a tank-off with
It
the
was a
Blazers were
tank-off.
trying to win, and the Raptors were not trying to win.
Yeah.
And here we are, another dub for your Portland Trailblazers, one step closer to the 10th seed in the Western Conference.
And also, as you would say, one step closer to your own personal hell. To shout out Bill Burr there. Did you see why they did this?
If we can lose our first-round pick, we got to lose our first-round pick this year. We got to make the playoffs and lose our first-round pick.
They're not going to make the play-in.
You
Did
sure
you
about
see?
that?
Yeah. Did you see why they did this though?
Why they did what? Why they said
why
that
the
Poeltl?
Raptors did this?
No.
It wasn't. I mean, like you could say, well, lose and get a ping pong ball. No doubt. The Raptors are not that far ahead in the tank as Portland game-wise.
They currently, I believe, have the 7th worst record in the NBA.
They do. They also caught wind that Philadelphia lost.
Yeah.
So
And Philadelphia is ahead of them in the standings.
Yeah.
Or behind them, depending on how you want to define
So
it.
Philadelphia losing triggers, I believe, the Raptors going, oh no, we can't lose ground on the Sixers.
I mean, they have a legitimate chance of finishing with the 5th worst record in the NBA. They're within puncher's distance of
Brooklyn.
Philadelphia
Yeah.
and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They're both right there with them in the standings.
We, by the way, are tied with the Miami Heat in the win category. We are just barely behind them in the loss category because we played one more game. So there's a really good chance, if you haven't followed the Heat, that we actually pass the Heat. The Heat are terrible.
Yeah, and then they're going to
And then
realize
we're
they're in
barely behind
Miami
Phoenix.
and they can sign any free agent they want because they're in Miami.
I'm not worried
so.
about Miami, but Phoenix is like... Swag called out Phoenix as the team to make the 10 seed.
He did.
I think they played a feisty game and then won, and it was like, oh my God, did Swag call it? No, the Lakers just bully balled them yesterday.
Well, if you don't think the Phoenix Suns are going to make it, then who's going to get the 10 seed in the West?
Dallas.
You think Dallas is going to hold on?
Yeah.
They have 7 active players.
I think Portland's schedule mixed with how bad Phoenix is
Yeah.
is just, and I kept seeing this on the internet. That
Phoenix is a game and a half behind them right now for the 10 seed.
that Dallas has to forfeit games. It's just not true. They'll find ways to get guys called up, but it's just funny that they're to this point.
I mean, it's hilarious.
It looked like at times that the Blazers didn't even know if they were trying to win or lose the game. Like, in that 48-minute stretch. They put Matisse Thybulle in with like some
game-sealing block.
Well,
Matisse
no,
Thybulle.
but they did not put him in until like 2-3 minutes to go in the third quarter or sometime early in the fourth quarter. And
he's ramping back up.
But what are you doing? If you think that he's going to help you win, then you put him in the first half. But then Chauncey, like all of a sudden, you want to keep
Put
Scoot
him back
out.
in. What do you do?
Game-sealing block.
I'm just saying, like, as a
Re-sign
coach,
Chauncey.
Coach made the decision not to play him much and played him at the
Re-sign
end, and he hit
Chauncey.
the game-saving block.
But
Chauncey
do you
Billups
understand?
gonna be back next year.
Do you understand what I'm
Coach
saying?
Deere.
Is in the first half, it didn't really feel like they were trying to win. All of a sudden, they are, and you keep Scoot out there for 30 minutes. He goes 2 for 12. Yeah, you want to see the development, but you're still seeing really crappy.
It was a
shooting
really
performances
rough
from the
game
guy.
for Shaden and
So,
for Scoot.
yeah, both of them.
It
All
was
right,
really
yeah.
ugly.
Well, who was carrying him in the next game? Was it Ant Simons?
I mean, more Tamani last
and
night.
Simons lit him up in the
next game.
second half.
Oh, in the next game,
It was
yeah,
all
so-
Scoot.
Well,
Come on.
all right.
Like, let's not. You're crapping on Scoot because he had a bad game. Didn't hear anything about you said about the Knicks game, but
It was a good game. Yeah,
I think this isn't
about.
about winning or losing. I think this is an early afternoon game, and sometimes one of the teams.
I mean, the
reacts
Blazers
like
just
that.
aren't that good. I mean, they're just not that good of a team.
And the Raptors, if you haven't followed anything about the Raptors, I
That's
texted
why
my
they scored
brother-in-law
19
because
in
he
the
asked
first
me to
quarter.
go, and I couldn't go because I had basketball yesterday afternoon, thanks to the snowstorm. So I missed the entire second half of this. I had to catch up on the highlights. But I told my brother-in-law, I'm like, dude, I'd actually want to go. The Raptors are kind of a underrated fun team.
Oh, fun team.
And if you go look at their last month or so of basketball, they've been in a lot of games, and then they do what they did yesterday.
They brilliantly pull the plug at the end.
yeah,
they
they pull the
compete, and then
plug.
they say the most important thing long-term is to get a top 5 pick in a
So-
historically good NBA draft.
Like, they're just kind of better than us. They just
Yeah.
decided to lose that basketball game, and we took it.
When you could be the 12th worst team in the NBA, it's exactly where you want to be.
It was just bad quality basketball all around. I mean, like there were some great moments, for a couple of Blazers. Donovan Clingan, a couple
Isn't
of
that
really
them in a
strong
nutshell,
blocks.
though?
What?
There's bad basketball usually every game with them.
Yeah, but
How often do you watch them and go, well, that was just perfect basketball?
I get it, but this is an NBA basketball game here, right? Like these are two teams of professionals, and this is their job. And I'm watching
Two
them
of the 10 worst
suck at
teams
it.
in the league.
They're not very good.
You're watching
No.
2 of the 10 worst teams in the league. Who are give me 10, let's look at the NFL real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna
10
do a little
NFL teams?
experiment here.
Okay.
Let's go to the league. The 10 bottom teams. So Giants, Titans, Browns, Raiders, Pats, Jags, Saints, Panthers, Bears, Jets. This be any different than you watching a Jets-Jags game? Would you come onto the air and be like, that was actually really good football?
I mean, in the NFL, I feel like you have a better chance to win week to week.
No.
That's just a much
Not
different
win, but
Watch
if you're
the
talking about the
game.
quality of the product.
Would you have come in and said, that was a really good football game?
I
if
feel
any
like
of those teams are winning a game, it's
feel like-
ugly, 17-13, because they
But
don't have quarterbacks.
good teams in the NFL can win an ugly game because defense rules.
These aren't good teams is my point.
Yeah,
Jets-Jags are bad NFL teams.
I hear you, but what you're asking me is if I'm going to come in and bitch about watching a bad team play an NFL game in a bad way. Like, no, there could be a 10-3 score in a Chiefs-Buffalo Bills game because it's a defensive matchup. Like, there's just
But those are
difference.
teams with stakes. I'm asking, do you watch the worst teams play bad games and then come in and complain?
No, because you know it's going to happen. But my Blazers.
That's the point. The Raptors and Blazers are the 10 worst teams in the league.
And by the way, I complain all NFL season. When we get the random Thursday night game, that is like Schulte's not wrong. That was a bad basketball
Raiders,
game.
Bears on
You
a
shouldn't have been
Thursday.
surprised by it because both teams are not very good. And the Raptors tried to lose at the very end of it. But yeah, you give me like Jets versus Jags on a Thursday night, I'm gonna
I mean, that's
watch
fair.
because I'm a sicko and I got a problem.
You
But
do
it's
have a problem.
it's a horrible game.
Saints, Titans.
It's just ugly. It's ugly, bad offensive football. Both quarterbacks are terrible. It's turnover. Like, it just sucks. But we gambled on the Saints money line, so let's ride this thing out until the fourth quarter.
My point is that NFL games, even with good teams, can go like that. So yes, we're sickos, but we're going to watch it because in the NFL, anything can
keep
happen
saying
week to
good
week. That's
teams.
Yeah, and that's just where
It's
the
not the
Raptors and
NBA.
Blazers are
We're
bad
talking about
basketball
bad
teams.
Yeah, no, I know that, but you're not hearing my point. That's saying that the good teams that we're watching can play a bad game.
Yeah, because
and,
they're stakes.
and you're asking about me reacting to a bad
you're
game or
comping
just the
good
bad
teams
teams
to bad teams.
No,
You're not
I'm reacting to watching a bad game. I don't know. You know what? This is jumping
Who's on
the shark.
first? I don't know what your complaint is.
Exactly.
I feel like you're just complaining to complain.
My complaint is that they won again, but nobody wants to hear me continue to complain and be right. But
I mean, I'm going to laugh when they get the 12th worst record in the league because that's within the striking
look,
distance.
we buried them.
The Suns have quit. The Suns have quit.
We went zombie Blazers last week, and so maybe similar to us eliminating the Ravens years ago and Swag doing a zombie impersonation, we need to walk that one back. I mean, they're legitimately...
They're not going to win their next couple, though.
No, they're not, but how many games remaining of the 14 are the Dallas Mavericks going to win?
I don't know.
Because
They won yesterday.
They didn't win yesterday,
They
did
beat
they?
the Sixers.
They lost to the Sixers.
Yeah, last night
Oh.
they
130 to
lost.
125.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
have
yeah, yeah,
lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Well, and they've
6,
also got
7,
more injuries
8, 9,
piled up,
10.
too.
They've lost 10 of their last 12 games. The only wins in there were over Charlotte and San Antonio.
Yeah, they're
So they got Indiana, Detroit next. They got Brooklyn left on the schedule. The Clippers
You know
twice. The Lakers, the Raptors, the
Touché.
Grizzlies. Like they legitimately might win 3 games the rest of the season.
which is why, again,
and that's generous.
I said it backwards because I got it backwards in my head, but that was why the Raptors pulled the plug.
Yes,
because
because the Sixers lost.
Yeah.
And they realized they have to keep up with Philadelphia, and they lost.
But did you watch that Phoenix Laker game?
no, I know that they got killed, but I didn't watch it.
God, it was embarrassing.
Yeah. Well,
They-
this
they
is my
couldn't
point.
Keep up with them, and they didn't have no LeBron.
This is my point. The Phoenix Suns are not a good basketball team, Bob.
No, either
The
are the
Dallas
Mavericks.
Mavericks might not win a game the rest of the way. Do we need to unzombify the Portland Trailblazers?
So you think they can do it with their schedule?
I mean, I don't.
The Grizzlies, the Celtics.
Let's talk about it on the other side,
Cavs?
because dear God, would it be a disaster?